The analytics tell you that this is a bad matchup for Alabama. A&M gets after the quarterback as well or better than anybody in America, and Alabama protects the quarterback about as poorly as any major team in America. Just that matchup right there is super concerning for Alabama fans.
I think it's super concerning, but maybe what's more concerning is A&M is capable of forcing you into passing situations because nobody can run the football on them.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you go back to that Miami game. Miami scored 48 points. They didn't do it on the ground. They did it through the air, and they did it in the kicking game. This may be one of these games where we're going to force the quarterback to throw the ball to beat us. You're on the road. It's not the strength of the offense. We feel that we are good enough up front really to stop the run with our front four. Forget about, having to load the box with an extra defender.
Yeah.
Now, they may do that some because they've got to be very conscientious of quarterback run. So it may be somewhat of a heavy box. But I wouldn't be surprised one bit if we see Coach Durkin just say, guys, corners, I'm putting you out there all by yourself. And I might leave a single safety. Everybody else is going to be in the box. And if we're going to lose this thing, that guy wearing number 4 has to beat us, not with his legs, but with his arm. So here we go. And I would be willing to bet we are going to see a lot of that and force Jalen Milroe to prove his worth in that area of the game.
I'm curious if you have seen what I think I have seen. You watch the game differently than I do. But it seems like Tommy Rees has figured out a little bit better how to call this offense.
Totally agree.
Yeah, but between Ole Miss and Mississippi State, Lugs, it looks like he realizes, okay, we don't do this well, so let's stay away from this. Here's the 15, 20, 25, 30, whatever it is, things we can do. I'm going to call it from those. And it feels like that's what Rees has done over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I would agree with that. They've really kind of started to mold the offense, and we talked about this for weeks, around his strengths, doing everything they can to mask the weaknesses or slowly bring them along. I felt against Mississippi State, while the numbers say he was efficient, there were some plays in the passing game where there were open people and he doesn't see them.
Yeah.
And he's able to get out of trouble athletically. And I think that's a point where eventually they're going to have to get him to say, hey, listen, man, you go from here to here, and that ball's either got to be out or you take off. But if it is out and the guy's open, you got to hit him. You got to make the play. And so, and that may be this week. Again, with him in the passing game right now, I think it's a maximum 2 progression read, take off and run.
Yeah.
He's not at the level where they can have him go from one side of the field to the other, hit the check down, right? It's either a half field read and it's 1-2, take off, or it's 1-2-3 and it's all one side of the field, right? So it's a triangle progression. What I mean by that is if you had a guy over the middle of the field and you had a guy running a corner and then you had the guy swinging out the flat, and if you drew a straight line and connected them all, you'd have a triangle. So, it's those types of things to oversimplify the progression. Don't force them to scan right and left and field sideline to sideline. And they're getting to more of that. I thought, being 10-12, it's hard to be 10-12. Especially it's hard to be 10-12 on the road. I know Mississippi State's not very good, but the environment's tough. And so, let's see what they do now. They go to College Station, because here's the thing. College State, those guys can score.
Yeah.
Like that they've got the best. There could not have been a scenario with a backup quarterback that was better suited for Texas A&M if you're going to have your starter go down, right? Yeah. They know exactly who he is, what he brings. They're going to coach him up. He's playing confidently. He knows they can run the ball. They create explosive plays. It's clearly Bobby Petrino's offense. I mean, you got to give Jimbo credit in that regard. Like, he can't tackle when he gets on the field, but he can be the head coach and let the offensive coordinator call the offense and run it. And I think he's done a really good job of that. And so is Bobby Petrino. So A&M's pretty good, man. Like, I'd venture to say the winner of this one could win the West.